أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. Welcome to Advanced Nahu and Structures class. This is our lesson number 27. Today inshallah we are going to learn about the compound sifa. As in a basic Nahu class, we have learned about the sifa, that is an adjective, and it is used to describe a noun, an isim, and that noun being described is called the mosuf, and the word or the phrase describing it is a sifa. I put the link to the previous lesson that we did in basic Nahu and also link to the notes. So as we first studied that this Mosuf Sifa, we learned that a Sifa is really a single word and an isim mufrad. But sometimes in Arabic, especially in the Quranic Arabic, often we see this Quranic Arabic just uses longer structures to describe a noun more precisely. So today's session just focuses on all the different forms of Sifa can take. So we will see that how it's going to work. We learned earlier that there are two types of ism that can be used as a sifa, an ism mufrad, and also an ism mawsul, as we did in the last session. So there are other two types of sentences that can act as a sifa, jumla ismiya, also jumla fi'liya. So that means a sifa does not have to be one word only. It can appear in uh, like um, two like these forms as well, a jumla ismiya or a jumla fi'liya. Also, there are two types of fragments that can act as a sifa. One is the idafa and the one is the shibu jumla or the jar majur fragment. Inshallah, we are going to look at each category. So one thing we need to remember that all these types of sifa, the isim mosul is used only when the mosuf is proper. We know that all the isma mosul are proper, so they can only be made sifa if only when the mosuf is proper. Also, we need to remember that the jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and the shibu jumla, the jar majrur fragment are used only when the mawsuf is common. The third thing that we need to remember for this complex sifa is that the idafa and the ism mufrad uh, can be used with the mawsuf being proper or the common. So there are three things that we need to remember for this complex sifa, that ism mawsul can only be used with the mawsuf that is proper. Jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and jar majrur are only used when the mawsuf is common. And for idafa and ism mufrad, they can be used with the mawsuf being proper or common. So this is this figure that is just to remind ourselves that like it's a flow chart, or is like you can see that here all these rules are just listed here, like mosuf being common only, and it has a sifa if jumla ismiya in the form of jumla failure and java majrur. So we can have a mosuf which is common with a sifa which can be a jumla ismiya, a jumla failure, or this jar majrur fragment. Then we have mosuf being proper. It can have a sifa that is in the form of isim mosul. So a sifa that is a isim mosul that is being used as a sifa can only be possible if the mosuf is proper, because both being in the form of like both being proper. And then we have isim mufrad and idafa as sifa only if the mosuf is proper or common. So these are the 3 points that we need to remember in the form of a picture. So Let's see the examples for isim mufrad. A mawsuf can be proper and common. This is the condition for like for isim mufrad. So the first example is common. Like here we can see Mosuf Sifa fragment, Azabun, Azimun. Here we can see Azabun and Azimun. They match all and four properties, and they are also um, this Mosuf being common and the Sifa being common. Then we have the another example, Usrat al Mustaqim. Here you can also see that both are being common, both are being proper. Asrat and al mustaqim. The Mawsuf is proper and then the Sifa is proper. So this is Ism Mufrad. This is a single word describing the Mawsuf. Single word describing the Mawsuf. We have then Ism Mawsul and the condition for Ism Mawsul being used as a Sifa only when the Mawsuf is proper. So here you can see the example. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ. You can see here this allati, that is the ism mawsul being used as the sifa for anar, that is proper. So both are proper here. So this is ism mawsul and the condition is it can be sifa only to a mawsuf that is proper. Now comes the complex part, the complex sifa, that is jumla ismiya. The jumla ismiya may serve as a sifa when the mawsuf is a common noun. We know that there are three types of sifa that can be used when a mawsuf is common: jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and jar wa majroor. So let's see the jumla ismiya as a sifa. So this type of sifa occurs only when the mawsuf is common. Also, we need to look at Jumla Ismiya and like uh, we we have to like remember 3 points to identify Jumla Ismiya used as a sifa. So let's see. The first thing is a common ism. The second thing is a Jumla Ismiya that comes immediately after the common ism. And the third thing is the ayat inside the Jumla Ismiya that matches a Mawsuf in gender and number. So when we see a ism that is common, and after that we see a Jumla Ismiya, and also in that Jumla Ismiya, if we see an ayat that is going back to the Mawsuf and it matches the Mawsuf in gender and the number. So let's see this example to make to make these all points clear. When the Jumla Ismiya is used as a sifa, we need to remember these 3 points. So here we see the first example here, and that is we see here kalla. Here kalla innaha kalimatun huwa qailuha. So no, indeed, it is a word that he is saying. So here we see this example that here jumla ismiya is used as a sifa. You can notice here this. First, we need to see if there is a mawsuf that is common. Yes, there is a mawsuf that is common. That is the kalimatun. Kalimatun is common. It is translated as a word. And after that, we see huwa qailuha. So this is jumla ismiya. He is saying. He is saying. So, but remember that when we are using it as a sifa, we need to add that, that, who, or like that. We'll see more examples to what to put when we are using it as a sifa. So jumla ismiya used as a sifa, you can see here the three conditions that we need to remember. Common ism, we have a common ism kalimatun. Then the second condition is that we have a jumla ismiya right after, just immediately after that common ism, and that is waqa iluha. Then we have a pronoun, an ayat that is going back or referring back to the mosuf, and that we have the mosuf kalimatun, and this ha is going back to kalimatun. So, kalimatun is a common word followed by here jumla ismiya, and we have ha serving as the aid. So, you see here, kalla innaha kalimatun huwa qailuha is a very beautiful example of jumla ismiya used as a sifa, and this is what we are learning here. This complex sifa that is not an isim mufrad, not an isim mawsul. We have a whole jumla ismiya as a sifa for a mawsuf that has to be common, that must be common. Look at the next example. We have min qabli an yatiya yawmul la bayun fihi wala khullatun. So here, before a day on which there is no bargaining or friendship comes, and no friendship. So here we see, as mentioned, that when we are joining a jumla and as a sifa and the mosuf, we need to put words like that or who or which. So you can see here we have the three conditions that we need to follow uh, to look at the complex sifa. First, we have a common ism. Here we have yomun, communism. And then after that, we have a jumla ismiya la yawmulla bayun fihi wala khillatun. So we have this communism yawmun followed by a jumla ismiya. And there is this here you can see fihi. So this pronoun is serving as Aid and it is referring back to Yoman. So we have before a day on which there is no bargaining and no friendship. So we have this again, Jumla Ismiya used as a sifa. So the three conditions are met. First, we have a common ism. Right after that, we have a Jumla Ismiya as a sifa. And then in the Jumla Ismiya, we have a pronoun that is going back to the Mosuf, and here it is Yomun. The next example is Rihun fiha azabun alimun, a wind in which there is painful punishment. So here rihun is a common word that is a common ism followed by a Jumla Ismiya, and we see fiha azabun alimun. The ha is referring back to this rihun, and it is used as an ayat. So here a wind in which there is a painful punishment. So again, to connect this mawsuf and sifa, the complex sifa, we need to put in English, like in the translation, that or which, like here you can see. So remember, when translating a sentence uses a sifa, insert the words like that, which, or who between the mosuf and the sifa. So here you see the three examples in which we have seen the jumla ismiya used as a sifa. We have the three conditions met here. We have a common ism, then we have a Jumla Ismiya right after that common ism. And also we have an Aid that is going back to that Mosuf. As you can see here, all these example, we have a pronoun that is functioning as an Aid and that is referring back to the Mosuf. Here, Kalimatun, Yawmun, and Rihun. They are all common ism and they are used as, they are Mosuf here. And we have a Jumla Ismiya as the Sifa. Now comes, as already mentioned, that most of that is common. It can have a complex sifa in the form of jumla ismiya, in the form of jumla failure, and also in the form of jar majrur. So the next one is jumla failure. So here the jumla failure can be used as a sifa when we have a common mosuf. So again, all the three conditions that we see for jumla failure are uh, same as for jumla ismiya. The first thing is we have a common ism. The second one is jumla failure coming right after that common ism. And also we have an aid inside the jumla failure that matches the mawsuf and gender and the number. So let's see jumla is failure as a sifa. We have these examples here. Jannatin tajri min tahti hal anharu. gardens from under which river flows. So here we see this example, gardens beneath which the river flows. So here Jannatin is a common mawsuf, and right after it, we see a Jumla Failia. Tajri min tahti hal anharu. So here this is Jumla Failia, and this ha that we see is referring or going back to, this is our ayat. This pronoun is our ayat, and it is going back to Jannatin. Jannatin Tajri min tahti al anharu. We see all these three conditions are met. We have a commonism, we have failure right after it, and also we have an ayat that is going back to the mosuf. So we have this jumla failure used as a sifa. The next example that we see is kul أفتخذتم من دونه أولياء لا يملكون لأنفسهم نفعا ولا ضرا. So here we see, say then you have all taken the protectors beside him who possess neither benefit nor harm for themselves. So here we see this فَاتَّخَذْتُم مِّن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ لَا يَمْلِكُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ نَفْعًا وَلَا ضَرًّا. So then you have all taken what? Taken the protectors awliya. So beside him min dunihi, who possess neither la yamliku la li naf'in naf'an wala darra. So here we see this as a jumla failure. So we have these two examples in which we see that Jumla failure that directly follows the commonism has been used as a sifa. So the three conditions are met. We have a commonism, a Jumla failure that is coming immediately after the commonism, and then we have an ayat within the Jumla failure that is matching with the Mosuf in number and the gender. So in the as again, when we are translating the sentence as a sifa, we are going to look, we need to write the words like that, which, or who, like this. So here we see Jannatin is a common noun followed by Jumla failure, and also we have the ha inside it that is functioning as the ayat. And you can see as which is here beneath which the river flows, and also, you can see here in the translation, protects us beside him who possess neither benefit nor harm for themselves. So this is Jumla failure. The next and the last, this sifa that is used for the common mosuf is a jar majrur fragment for complex sifa. First, we learned about the Jumla ismiya. Then we practice Jumla failure, and now look at jar majrur fragments that can be used as a sifa, working as a complex sifa for a mosuf that is common noun. As you can see this example, Rajulun Qurashiyun. So this is a regular Mosuf Sifa fragment. But if we have a Jar Majur fragment like a Rajul that is Qureshi, that is its caste, or you can see the region. Here, Rajulun min Qureshin, Rajul, a man from Quresh. Now here, this is almost similar, but this is now converted into the Jar Majur fragment in which we have a common Mosuf. Here, this common noun, and we have a jar majur fragment as its sifa. But we know that for this jar majur fragment, we know that for Mosuf sifa here, as you can see that they are going to follow this um, like the Sifa is going to follow all the properties of the Mosuf. But here, as this is a Jar Majrur fragment and it is in the place of uh, Sifa that should be Rafa, we need to write Fi Mahali Rafa Sifa Li Rajul. So here, this is Fi Mahali Rafa because here the Mosuf is in the state of Rafa, it is Marfu. So its Sifa should be Marfu. So as we have this jar majur fragment, so we need to write fi mahalli rafa. So jar majrur as a sifa. Um, it's just we know that one thing we also need to see that is how it is used as a complex sifa. So we know that jar majur is mostly um, like it's mutalik to something. It is mutalib bil khabar if it is in jumla ismiya, and it is mutalib bil fail if it is in jumla failure. So jar majur is always connected to something. So here we will see that sometimes this mutalik, this jar majur fragment can come before its mosuf or before its the word that it is mutalik to. Also, we need to remember it is in the jumla ismiya, it is mutalik bil khabar, and in jumla failya, it is mutalik bil fail. Now we are going to look at the examples when it is working as a complex sifa. Here we can see walain azaknahu rahmatam minna min ba'di dharra massathu layaqulanna haza li. So here this example, look at this. Certainly we were to make a person taste mercy from us after the hardship that afflicted him, he would surely say, this is for me. So here we see this rahmatam minna, that is Jamaju fragment, again used as Sifa, mercy from him. We know that this is common. Again, this is common Mosuf, and we have the Jamaju fragment as its Sifa because it's right after it this Rahma. Now we have another example. You can see that here the order is changed. وَلِنْ أَزَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنَّا رَحْمَةً ثُمَّ نَزَعْنَاهَا مِنْهُ إِنَّهُ لَيَئُوسٌ كَفُورٌ. So here, if we allow humans to taste mercy from us, then we take it away from him, then he is certainly miserable and ungrateful. So mercy from us, and here rahmatan minna and minna rahmatan. There is a balagha, there is always balagha and the hikmah behind using every word. But as far as its grammar is concerned, we can see here that there is no change in the translation. If even if the order is changed, and we can see that this minna that is mutalik is coming before the actual word that is rahma, and these are the two examples in which we see that it is the order is changed. So we have here minna used as a jar majrur fragment, which is a complex sifa for rahma. Also, we need to learn about one more important thing, that sometimes mutalik may appear to come between a mawsuf and a sifa. Like this is again a complex sifa thing, that like there are some situations when jar majrur is treated as the first sifa, while the actual sifa that is following the mawsuf is considered to be the second sifa in the sequence. So this pattern only occurs when the mawsuf is common. Again, we know that jar majrur fragment can only be sifa when the mawsuf is common. So also remember that this jar majrur fragment that is usually comes with the harf of jar min. Now again, let's see these examples here. We have this example, ibtigha rahmatam min rabbiki tarjuha. So here, in pursuit of the mercy from your master that you wish for. So here we see, as we learned that for common mosuf, we can have a complex sifa in the form of jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and a jar majrur fragment. So here you can see we have now like two sifas. One is in the form of jar majrur fragment, and other can be in the form of jumla ismiya or a jumla failure. So look at the first example, ibtigha rahmatin min rabbiki tarjuha. In pursuit of the mercy, this is commonism. The first thing, that this commonism can be a mawsuf. Now, right after it, we can see a jar majrur fragment. From your master, rahmatam mir rabbika, from your master. So this is our first sifa. This is our first sifa. And after that, we see tarjuha, that you wish for, that you wish for. So again, as we were learning about the rules using Jumla Ismiya and Jumla Fa'iliya as a complex sifa, we learned that in translating, we need to put that, which, or who. So here in the translation, you can see here that you wish for. So this is showing that it is this Jumla Fa'iliya is a sifa to this rahmatim. So we can see um Jumla Fa'iliya that is coming after a common mawsuf, but between them again is a jar majrur fragment that is working as a sifa. So we have two sifas now. This complex structure, we see that we have common ism that is rahma here, that is working as a mosuf, and we have two sifas. One is mirabbik, and the second sifa is a jumla failure tarjuha, and that is working as a sifa. The next example for this complex structure is أخرجنا لهم دابة من الأرض تكلمهم. Again, look at this example. First of all, we need to look at the word that is used, or that we are taking as a mosuf. Again, it is a common mosuf. We brought out from them a creature, minal earth, from the earth, that, because in the translation as mentioned that we need to put that if there is a complex sifa that speaks to them, to kallimuhum. So again we see two sifas here, one mosuf, all the conditions are met. We have a common ism that is working as that is a mosuf here. Here it is dawbatan. Then we have tukallimuhum, but between these two, we have a jar majrur fragment that is working as the first sifa. So it can interrupt the normal or the quite easier complex structure of this Mosuf Sifa fragment. So dawbatan min al-ardi tukallimuhum. We have two sifas here again, min al-ardi and tukallimuhum. Jumla failure acting as a sifa. The last example that we have for this jar majrur as a sifa is ta'ifatum minkum amanu billazi ursiltu bihi. A group, ta'ifatun, again it's a common ism. So if there right after it is a jar majrur fragment, then it will be working as a sifa. So we have again a complex sifa minkum in the form of jar majrur fragment. We have from among you that believed in what I was sent with. So here again we see a jumla failure as a second sifa, working as a second sifa for this common mosuf, that is ifadam. So we have these examples and complex examples in which we learned jar majrur fragment as a sifa, working as a sifa, working as a complex sifa. First we saw that we have only jar majrur fragment after a common mosuf. And then we saw that jumla failure and a jar majrur fragment can come together and will work as cipher number 1 and 2 for a common ism. Then we have the last thing for today is that idafa as a cipher. So we have like we learn about isim mufrad and we learn about isim mawsul, that they um, have this mawsuf that can be proper or common. Then we have mawsuf that is common. We can have a complex sifat that with it that can be in the form of jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and jar majrur. And then now we have uh, idafa as a sifa, and this idafa can come for like can be used in a mawsuf that is proper or common. So let's see here. A special mudaf may serve as a sifa. So, because we know that the special mudafs make a special idafa construction, mudaf ili construction. So, some special mudaf that appear as a sifa in the Quran that we have seen are ghair and zu and misl. So, the idafa will match the mawsuf in the status, number, and gender, but might not be in type. Let's see the examples now. We have the first example here. بدلناهم جلودا غيرها ليذوقوا العذاب. We replace them with other skins so they can taste the punishment. So we have here جلودا غيرها. Common ism. We see here a common ism, common mosuf, and we have غيرها that is matching this جلودا in here in status and number, but not in the type because we know that all the pronouns are proper. So when we have a mudafili proper, so we have uh, this mudaf mudafili construction, mudaf as proper as well. So we have this juludan that and ghayraha as idafa, and that matches in status and number and gender, but not in the type. And we have this بدلناهم جلودا غيرها. This is موصوف صفة, another complex موصوف صفة fragment. Then we have the next example for today for idafa construction is والحب ذو الأسف والريحان, and grains that have husk and scented plants. So notice that when we have zoo acting as a sifa, it can be translated as that have and that contains, because now we know that in the translation when we have a complex sifa, we need to translate with that or which or who. So also it is going to match with the Mosuf. It is matching with the Mosuf in all properties, including um, the type, because we know that the both are proper here. Both are proper. While here this is proper and this is common. So number, gender, and this type and like every property is matched. So this is Mosuf Sifa here idafa working as a mawsuf sifa, because we know that the special mudafs make these words make this the idafa construction. Last example is kul innama ana basharum mislukum. Say I'm nothing but a human like yourself. So again we see here a commonism bashar, because we know that idafa can come with a mosuf that is proper or common. So here we have a common ism, common mosuf, and now the idafa matches a mosuf in the status, number, and the gender, but not in the type, because this is proper and this becomes proper as well. So we have um, idafa construction that is that this idafa that is the sifa for basharun. So we have idafa as a sifa here غيرها, this is idafa, and that is this sifa for juludan. We have zul asfi, here we have this idafa that is the sifa for al habbu, and we have mislukum working as a complex sifa. This is idafa and it is the sifa for this communism basharun. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So this is all about the complex sifa. We learn that how a complex sifa can be come in the sentences. We need to look closely to all the sentences that have a complex sifa. We need to remember all the rules, especially for the mosuf that is common. Because for mosuf that is common, we can have a sifa in the form of jumla ismiya, jumla failure, and for also jar majrur fragment. For mosuf that is proper or common, we can have a sifa in the form of ism mufrad and idafa, and for Mosul that is only proper, we can only have a sifa that is in the form of ism Mosul or sila with its sila. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.